Welcome. Today, we are going to pull back the curtain and uncover the incredible journey your code takes from your keyboard all the way down to the CPU.
All right, let's kick things off with a real head-scratcher. How can one single program file suddenly develop three completely different personalities?
Just look at this. We run one program, let's say a Postgres database, 3 times. What do we get? 3 totally unique processes. Each one gets its own ID number, its own to-do list, that's the program counter, and its own private workspace in memory. It's not one person juggling 3 jobs. No, it's like having 3 separate employees. Each one's got their own desk, their own notebook, their own coffee cup. They are completely independent of each other.
So how do we solve this mystery? Well, we've got to follow the trail. And that trail starts with a single, tiny piece of code as it goes on this incredible journey.
Okay, everything starts right here, with something super simple, something a human can actually read. We've got 3 lines of C code. We're saying int a equals 1, int b equals 3, and then int c equals a plus b. Simple, right? We're just adding 2 numbers. But this is where the magic begins.
And boom, first transformation. Our simple C code gets crunched by something called a compiler and turned into this, assembly language. You can think of these as the direct, nitty-gritty instructions for the computer's brain, the CPU. You see things like move, that means move, and add. Well, that one's pretty obvious.
So, you might be asking, what are those R0 and R1 things? Those are called CPU registers. And honestly, the best way to think of them is like a tiny, super fast scratch pad that's built right into the CPU itself. It's like when you're doing math in your head, you hold the numbers right there, ready to go. It's instant.
But wait a second, let's pause. Look back at that assembly code. Where did our variables a and b go? They're just gone. What happened?
All right, this is where we uncover the magic trick, because what happened there wasn't an accident, it was pure genius from the compiler.
You see, the compiler is way smarter than we give it credit for. It looked at our code and said, hold on, you're only using a and b one time. Why would I waste time writing them all the way out to memory and then reading them all the way back? That's slow. So it just skipped that whole process. It took the numbers 1 and 3 and shoved them directly into those super fast registers. This isn't just a small thing. It saved 5 slow, clunky steps. It's this kind of smart shortcut happening thousands of times that makes your software feel fast.
And this is exactly why that matters so much. Think of it like this. The registers are the numbers in your brain. Instant. The L1 cache is like your desk, super fast to grab. RAM is like the filing cabinet across the room, kind of slow. And the hard drive, that's the storage unit down the street. It takes forever. The compiler's job is to be the ultimate organizer, keeping everything it needs right there on the desk, or even better, right in its head.
Okay, time for the final transformation. The assembly code gets translated one last time into this, machine code, just raw numbers. This is the only thing the CPU actually speaks. It's its native language. And what's so cool is that assembly and machine code are basically mirror images of each other. You can translate back and forth pretty easily. That's why learning assembly is like getting X-ray vision into your computer.
And what does the CPU do with this machine code? Well, its life is actually pretty simple. It just follows a constant, relentless cycle, billions of times a second. First, it fetches an instruction. Then it decodes it. It figures out, oh, okay, OX34 means I need to add. Then it executes the command. And then it repeats. Fetch, decode, execute over and over and over again.
So we have our ingredients, right? We have the machine code and we have the CPU ready to execute it. Now let's put all the pieces together and see how a program actually comes to life as a running process.
See, when you have a program file, an executable, it's not just a big chaotic blob of machine code. It's organized. It has a special section right at the top called a header. This header is basically the instruction manual for your operating system. It tells the OS, hey, here's where you need to start running the code, right at this specific address. And here's how much memory I'll need. And here are the other tools I need to borrow. It's the whole setup guide.
And here it is, the whole picture. On one side, you have the CPU. Its program counter is like a finger, pointing at the exact instruction it's working on right now in memory. On the other side, you have memory, with all the instructions laid out in order. The CPU executes the instruction its finger is pointing at, and then it just moves its finger down to the next one, usually 4 bytes at a time. It's just hopping from one stepping stone to the next, following the path. And that's it. The mystery is solved. Remember our 3 Postgres processes? The reason they have different personalities is because each one has its own program counter. Each one has its own finger pointing to a different place in the code. Process 1 might be busy working on a task, its finger halfway down the page. Process 2 might be idle, its finger waiting right at the beginning of a new chapter. They're the same book, but they're on different pages.
So now that we've seen all this incredible magic, let's take a second to appreciate the magicians. Because none of this happens by accident. It's all thanks to the unsung heroes of the software world, the compiler engineers.
This really captures what must be going through their minds. It's not just add 2 numbers. It's, okay, if I add them this way, will it mess up the cache? Could it cause a traffic jam in the CPU's pipeline? What about branch prediction? They are obsessing over every single tiny detail to squeeze out every last drop of performance for us.
And remember that cool trick with the variables a and b? That's just one example. Modern compilers are packed with literally thousands of these clever optimizations. They are constantly rearranging things, finding shortcuts, and polishing our code behind the scenes. Every single time you compile your code, you're getting all this brain power for free, making your program faster without you having to do a thing.
All right, that was a deep dive. So let's zoom out and recap the big ideas, the things you really want to remember from all this. First off, one program file can spawn many different processes, each with its own life. Second, your code goes on a journey, from readable C to low-level assembly to pure machine code. Third, compilers are your best friend. They are incredibly smart and do so much optimization work for you. Fourth, remember that CPU registers are king. They're the fastest storage where the real work gets done. And finally, a running process is just this beautiful dance between the CPU state, its program counter and registers, and the list of instructions sitting in memory.
Now, knowing the theory is one thing. It's powerful stuff. But seeing it happen with your own eyes, that's a whole other level.
And that's exactly what we're going to do next time. We are going to fire up a real computer, crack open a running process with a debugger, and watch this all unfold in real time. We'll see the program counter move, we'll see the registers change. It's going to be awesome. You definitely don't want to miss it.